All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? I'm Is There No One Else? I'm bringing you a Magic and Nightblade ganking guide for Clockwork City. A lot has changed over the last few patches. I'm going to briefly discuss the changes, why we made the adjustment that we made, some of the gear sets you can run. The cliffs of this is there are a lot of sets that are very, very close to each other, and it's all going to depend on who your targets are and who you're trying to hit. And are you going for more burst, or are you going for more overall just flat damage? So that's going to be your preference and what you want to weigh. Do you want the flat damage, or do you want the increased overall damage over the 3 to 4 seconds that you're going to have with your ultimate? I can't tell you what's the best, because that's preference. It all depends on what you're running or who you're running with. And because of those things, your CP is going to change, your gear is going to change, all of that. So I'm going to tell you what I decided on. I'm going to show you some of the sets that I went with, and kind of just talk through everything. And then you guys can kind of make your own conclusions. You can test your own stuff. You can figure your own stuff out, and have your own things. So anyway, for a long time I was ganking on my Magic and Nightblade. I've been ganking off and on my Magic and Nightblade for like the last 2 years. For a long time I was running Alchemist at Elegant, like everybody else that ganks on a Magic and Nightblade, because you could hit 20 to 25k heavy attacks regularly on everybody. I was one-shotting people all the time with my heavy attack, and if it wasn't, it was a heavy attack Swallow Soul, and they were just getting nuked. A lot of fun, but ganking became popular about a year ago. A lot of people started ganking. ZeniMax looked at it and they're like, you know what? Maybe it's not a good thing that people can just hit somebody for 20 to 25k instantly, and there's no reaction time and there's no counterplay to it. A lot of people seem to be getting mad about this, and so they adjusted it. And so you can't really do that anymore. They nerfed the amount of damage from stealth that you can do, which sucks for gankers, but it's a good thing for the game. People having response times, it's useful. Being able to respond and react, having counterplay is useful. So it's a good change. But if you like ganking, then you're a little bit more annoyed because it just doesn't exist like it used to. So no longer will we be able to get 25k one-shot heavy attacks. That doesn't exist anymore. That's not going to happen. So a set like Elegant, although it's great for heavy attacks, isn't going to give you that super hard-hitting thing where it's going to put somebody in such low health that you can then just execute like it used to. On top of that change, they also nerfed Clever Alchemist. You can no longer proc Clever Alchemist from stealth. It's one of the best burst sets in the game. So they nerfed ganking in that way as well. And naturally, over the course of the last year, due to multiple reasons, people just run with a lot more health. They run with a lot more resistances than they used to. And so you don't hit as hard as you used to. People are running more health, and they're running more resistances, and there's just a lot of people running in groups with a lot of Magicka Templars. And so if you try to hit somebody in one of those groups, and that person you're hitting doesn't even have to be there. Like, they could just be going to get a sandwich, but if they have enough Magicka Templars and the Magicka Templar sees the Soul Assault, he's just going to be able to pop Breath of Life, and it's going to go to that guy, and you're not going to kill him, even if he's not there, depending on the groups that you're in. There's just so much healing in places to where solo ganks, you really have to pick and choose your spots. You can still do it. Ganking still exists. Like, you'll still be able to gank people, but you really have to pick your targets well right now. And so what I advocate in ganking in this patch is running with 2 people. You double your amount of damage that you can do on one person. You catch them off guard. It's going to take some coordination. It's going to take another buddy that likes to gank, but you'll be able to do it. Your heavy attacks will still be able to hit anywhere from 6 to 15k. So you double those. So you'll be able to 2-shot most people at low health. So people you could gank, you'll be able to 2-shot with another buddy. But then that also increases the amount of people that you can gank. All of a sudden, if both of you are attacking somebody, that increases, the likelihood that you'll be able to kill other people. And so you widen your player pool of people you can kill, and which then in turn makes it more fun. You don't have to be as patient in picking your targets, because you just be able to hit everybody so freaking hard. So I recommend running with 2 people. Yeah. So, two people. Stam ganking has its benefit because, stamina classes, when they hit from stealth, it stuns the enemy. Magicka does not have that. Magicka does not have the stun, so if you're a Magicka Nightblade, running with a Stam ganker actually has quite a bit of benefits. But just kind of know that that's what you have to do. If you run with another Magicka Nightblade, that's not a big deal. They hit very hard. It's a lot of fun to gank on a Magicka Nightblade as well. So this is what I decided on. This is what I personally think is, out of everything I've tested, is the best way to go. We were running 5 Julianos and 5 War Maiden. War Maiden, preferably all divines, all spell damage enchants. I have a Juliano staff. I think sharpens the best. As far as enchants go, I was finding that my previous enchant on this bar was consuming my guaranteed crit with Shadowy Disguise, and it happened like 6 or 7 times where my enchant critted, but my heavy attack didn't. And I think that's kind of a big issue because your heavy attack is supposed to do a good amount of damage. If it's not critting, you're not having as much burst. So I just took the damage enchant off my front bar and I put a weapon and spell damage on there. I could be wrong. Maybe that was the only enchant that was doing it. Maybe another enchant, maybe another enchant won't consume the crit proc, but it was too much of a nuisance. It took away too much of my burst that I think this was better. We are running War Maiden because one-shots I don't really think exist as much anymore. We want to buff our Soul Assault. Our Soul Assault is going to do a shit ton of damage with Julianos and War Maiden. We're going to hit really hard with that. It allows us to nuke even tankier people. So the weapon and spell damage enchant on the front bar, preferably sharpened for the pen. Julianos is just a really good damage set. Now, I know they nerfed Clever Alchemist, but if you look at this set, we get 300 spell damage, plus with our weapon damage proc, we get 320. Very similar to what Clever Alchemist used to be with this build. On top of that, we have War Maiden, which I don't have in Divine, so I need to up that. This is all good damage, and then you get spell damage to your magic damage abilities, which buffs your Execute, it buffs your Swallow Soul, and it buffs the Soul Assault. So very, very useful for that reason. A big portion of our burst combo will be with this. Now, is this the only way you can go? No. You can run Night Slayer. Night Slayer is good. Fully charged heavy attacks against players deal an additional 9% of their max health as Oblivion damage. Oblivion damage goes through shields. 9% is quite a bit. It's roughly 2k on a 20k health target, 2500 on a 25k health target. If they have 30k health, it's 3k. It's a really good amount of damage with a fully charged heavy attack. However, although it is 3k, I think having the bonus to Soul Assault and having those increased ticks over the 2 to 3 seconds is going to be more guaranteed damage than this Night Slayer set. This has to be a fully charged heavy attack. Sometimes people are riding by on horseback. You don't have enough time to fully charge a heavy attack, so you might get a medium attack, destructive reach, and then a Soul Assault. This is just, I think War Maiden's a little bit more playable than this. Elegant used to be the shit set to run for this. It was the best set. This does increase our heavy attack damage. However, do you want to buff your heavy attacks by 20%, or do you want to buff your Soul Assault and get your tooltip on Soul Assault to 100k? What's going to do more damage, your 100k tooltip Soul Assault or increasing your heavy attack that they've been nerfing intentionally for the last few patches? This will give you more burst than what I'm talking about. Because we're running Soul Assaults, we have 3 seconds, 4 seconds for them to react. They might block, they might heal through it. If they're Magplars, they're going to be able to heal through what we're doing. That's why we're running with a buddy, and we're going to really try to nuke them with 2 people. Elegant's more burst. You can absolutely run Elegant. That'll give you more upfront burst damage, and so maybe with 2 people you'll be able to coordinate enough to nuke people down, but you have to be good with it. The other set that I really like, that I was actually trying to make a build video on with this, was the Destructive Mage set. The problem with this set is you have to farm it in Hellraw Citadel. It does give you good damage. When you put this set on, it gives you 10,000 magic damage on the bomb. The 5-piece says when you deal damage with a fully charged heavy attack, you place a bomb on the enemy for 10 seconds. When another player hits the same enemy with a fully charged heavy attack, they detonate the bomb, dealing. It will be 10,000 because it scales with our damage. 10,000 magic damage to all enemies within 8 meters. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. So the other thought that I had with this is, you do a heavy attack, and then your buddy does a heavy attack right afterwards. So you say, all right, charging heavy. And as soon as you say charging, he waits a split second, he charges his heavy. When your heavy attack lands, this set then plants this really sweet bomb. Actually, I'll just put it on and show it to you. It plants this bomb on the enemy, and I'm losing my mind here for a minute. Places a bomb on the enemy, and then immediately once his heavy attack hits, it explodes, and so it'll do damage. It is a proc set, so it doesn't crit. It doesn't crit, but in PvP that's 2 to 4k damage. So both heavy attacks plus this is a lot of burst damage. You won't need soul assaults to kill people as often with this set. On top of that, it has this really sweet enchant. When you switch bars, it like you get this purplish pink kind of enchant that glows on your bar. But yeah, it's fully charged heavy attack, plants the bomb instantly. You see how like now they have a bomb on them for 10 seconds. Once somebody hits that person with a heavy attack, it then explodes. This really maximizes your upfront burst. It will not buff your soul assault though for the 5-piece like War Maiden will. So very good set, worth trying if you want to really like nuke people quickly and you don't want to rely on soul assault. If your buddy isn't as good, or they're you got your guys' teamwork isn't as good, this is going to be tougher to play because it has to be a fully charged heavy attack. Even see that wasn't a fully charged heavy attack because I didn't go all the way back. It has to be a full charge in order for it to proc. So you have to go all the way back and like hold the trigger down, and so does your buddy. And so coordinating with people moving, just like Night Slayer, they might go through a door. You might not be able to get a full heavy. You might not be able to land both of them. And honestly, you might not need to do that. So useful for upfront burst, but it's a little bit harder to play. You have to go farm it. I think the best way, the easiest way to get people out there is just to literally put on War Maiden, slap on War Maiden, get 2 body pieces divines, and then craft Julianos around it. Spinners would be very good as well. I do not have divine spinners to test. That'll give you a lot of damage against a lot more damage against heavy armor builds. It'd be very good. I think it's going to be very similar to Julianos for testing though. So I don't think there's a big difference there. Sorry, I'm just slapping on War Maiden really quick. Yeah, so this is easier to get. It's really easy to find War Maiden jewelry. It's really easy to find War Maiden body pieces, craft Julianos around it. 2 really good damage sets. The crit bonus helps quite a bit because it, amplifies your burst. Yeah, so I don't think I've gone through skills yet, I guess, so I'll do that now. This is our Soul Assault. I don't have it fully morphed. 77,000 tooltip magic damage. Very, very hard hitting Soul Assault with this build. Swallow Soul, also good. Spammable DPS. We want inner light in our front bar. This gives us our Empower, 5% more max magicka, and a crit bonus. So when we're hitting with our Soul Assault, increasing the amount of chances we can crit is valuable. So we want to have all of that. Shadowy Disguise, guaranteed crit with your heavy attack. So that's why we're running this. It's the must-have for gankers. Destructive Reach and Impale. Impale is going to be our execute. They're going to get down to low health. We'll hit them with this. They will die. On our back bar, Resto, Healing Ward, Merciless Resolve, Double Take for maneuvering around, Shadow Image for, oh shit, we got to get out, Siphoning Attacks, and Resto Ult. So if all of a sudden your buddy's getting hit, he gets detected, pulled out of stealth, you can pop Life Giver, he drops a Shadow Image, runs away from it, they chase him, he goes back to the Shadow Image, he gets back in stealth, you guys maneuver and you pick and choose your targets. So this is not a stand up and fight type of setup. If you are standing up and you're trying to fight somebody toe to toe with this build, you're going to die. You want to get in the shadows. You want to be a stage 4 vampire. You want to be able to move around quickly from stealth. If all of a sudden somebody sees you, like I said, you drop your shadow image and you get away. You get a distance away, make sure they're chasing you, and then you go back to your shadow image, you stealth up, and you get out of there. That's going to be how you play this build. As far as CP goes, it really depends on your gear. Since we are, I'll go through the other stuff first and I'll discuss the blue tree last. 51 Warlord, 10 Siphoner, 64 Arcanist, 68 Tenacity, 37 in a tumbling, 56 Bastion, 32 Hardy, 32 LA Defender, 18 in thick skin, 44 Resistant, 48 Ironclad, and then this is where it depends. If you're running a set where you're really trying to buff your heavy attacks and you're trying to buff your upfront burst damage, you want to take your points out of Thaumaturge. You don't want your points in Thaumaturge because that's not going to buff your heavy attack. This is buffing our Soul Assault. Our Soul Assault is buffed by Thaumaturge, so having more increased damage with that is valuable. But if you're running Elegant in Julianos, or if you're running like Night Slayer, or if you're running the other set I was talking about, and you really want to buff your upfront damage, take the points out of here, put them into Master at Arms and Staff Expert. You'll increase your burst so that you and your buddy can nuke people more quickly. But since we're running War Maiden, since Soul Assault's part of our build and it makes it a little bit easier, 56 in the Thaumaturge to increase that damage. If you're running a Stam class, you know, off balance might be valuable. Maybe you put 75 in here to do that. But it all depends on your group coordination. 39 Spell Erosion, 49 Elemental Expert, 51 into Elfborn. As far as consumables go, we're just going to use Alliance pots. You know, those are valuable. You can craft pots, you can do the major sorcery, detect pots, but our major sorcery we're going to get is from the potions. We're running, like I said, we are a stage 4 vampire. We are going to run the Apprentice Mundus. Lover gives you more damage against heavy armor builds. This gives you more damage against everybody. And it's only slightly more damage. There's not a big difference between Lover and Apprentice, in my opinion. I tried the Shadow Mundus. Shadow Mundus isn't as good as the Apprentice, so we're running Apprentice. Witch Mother's Potent Brew. This is slightly less damage than the Max Health, Max Magicka consumable. Slightly less damage, but we get so much more utility with the Magicka recovery. I think this is just better. If you want to run the other one, that's fine. 64 points in a Magicka. This is our back bar. Our stats, unbuffed, look like this. We're at 40,000 Magicka, 2672 spell damage. Keep in mind that's not showing War Maiden, so we're at 3,000 spell damage unbuffed. We're going to get another 20% off our major sorcery. We also have 320 on our enchant on our front bar, so we hit pretty hard. I do have 2 impen body pieces that I shouldn't have. It should be divines. That would buff our spell damage even more. A good amount of magic recovery. Nice spell crits. Yeah. Now, the gist of ganking. Quick tutorial for those of you that haven't done it before. But the gist of ganking on a Magicka Nightblade, or ganking in general, is you need to choose your targets. Not only do you want to pick a target that you can take out, but you want to make sure that they're away from a group. Like if you're trying to kill people in the sewers, and you're trying to take somebody out and they're running around with a group of 12 people, and there's 6 Magicka Templars in there just spamming heals because they're getting, you know, all their buddies are getting hit by the boss, you're not going to be able to gank any of those people. One of their Breath of Life is going to go to the person that you decide to Soul Assault, and they're going to get healed to full. So know who you're attacking. Like if you see a bunch of heals going out, just know you're not going to be able to gank that person. Heals are very strong right now. If they're actually, you know, if they're fighting and they're maneuvering around and they're dodge rolling, you might miss your heavy attack, or you know, you might miss your Soul Assault. Try to catch people when they're going from keep to keep. Try to catch them when they're just kind of standing around doing nothing. You know, when all of a sudden everything's just a little bit more lax. You know, you have to be patient with ganking. You know, because fail ganks will get you teabagged, and you deserve to be teabagged if you fail gank somebody. So know that's going to happen. And pick and choose your targets. That's going to be the #1 issue. It doesn't matter how good your setup is. If you don't pick the right targets, if you don't coordinate and you don't talk to your buddy, you're not going to kill them. You know, that's the biggest thing I can tell you. If you get impatient and you get, you know, and you're just trying to take somebody out really quick, that's not going to work. You know, you have to choose the right time to go for it. And when you see it, you have to know what you're doing. So that's my long-winded point. What we're going to do for ganking is we're going to buff with our Merciless. We're going to get that 8%. We're going to keep our siphoning attacks up. We're going to pop our potion. We're going to pretend we have our major sorcery potion, which we do not currently have. We're going to pop our potion. We're going to empower. We're going to cloak. And then depending on the target, either we'll heavy attack Soul Assault, or we will heavy attack Swallow Soul Execute, or you can heavy attack Destructive Reach, which I'm not close enough for, heavy attack Destructive Reach, Soul Assault, and then Execute. it all kind of depends on the amount of health that they have. It all depends on, you know, kind of what they're doing. You can do all those things. If you see somebody at 25k health, you might need to get heavy attack, swallow soul, destructive reach, you know, and then your soul assault to really knock their health down enough to where your soul assault will kill them. And if it doesn't kill them right away and they get up and they're blocking, well, then they're in execute range, and you just hit them with a couple executes and then they're dead. Plus, you're running with a buddy who will also be executing, and you know that will amplify things. Sorry. So your inner light gives you your empower, your cloak gives you your guaranteed crit, and then you do your heavy attack. And so your heavy attack will always be a crit, and it'll give a lot of burst damage. And then we're running destructive reach on our front bar as a CC because it also gives us the 8% more for the destruction staff. Wanted to cover that really quickly because I almost forgot. But that's why we're running destructive reach on our front bar as well, because we're running soul assault, and you know we want that extra 8%. Yeah, so I recommend getting to a test dummy, really practice, you know, getting this combination down, and just working on making sure that you get those hits out. But excuse me, sorry, I'm gonna cough. That's gonna be my long-winded video. I'm really sorry about this, guys, but like I said, I've been testing this quite a bit. This target, I've been hitting heavy attacks and soul assaults all morning. It's a 6 billion health dummy. I've been here testing a lot, trying to figure out the best build for you guys. And at the end of the day, I don't have a best build. I don't know what the best is. It depends on you and your buddy. I think this one is the easiest to play because once you land your soul assault, they can't dodge it. You know, they can't dodge roll. They can't really escape it. It's there. And so it's a lot easier to coordinate and zap people with soul assaults than it is to coordinate heavy attacks. You know, and so that's why a set like Night Slayer and a set like Destructive Mage, in my opinion, take a slight step back. I think Destructive Mage plus this build would be better. Like one of your buddies runs Julianos and Destructive Mage, and then one of you runs this with Warmain. I think that's probably the best way to go. But you have to coordinate heavies in order to get that burst damage. And you know, do you really want to farm? I'm going to leave that up to you guys. But I think it's a very useful set. I think it's worth having. Yeah, so that's my long-winded point of view. Hopefully I helped you guys, you know, trying to figure out, you know, what you want to do for ganking. What I can tell you is you know, although there's not a build, there's certain things you want to avoid, and I think enchants on the front bar is something you might want to avoid with this. And you know, pick your 2 5-piece sets, find a buddy that you want to do this with, and go wreck some people. So thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.